My 33 male, wife 32 female, said her ex's name while we were having. For the last 4 years, my wife and I have been married, and we have a 2-year-old kid. We had been dating for 3 years when we decided to tie the knot in May of this year. While we were having last night, she brought up the subject of her ex-boyfriend. She came up with a bizarre rationale for why this was happening. She said that it is a common name, in fact, it is a rather popular name, and that she had just heard it. At that time, I had no intention of getting into a serious argument with her. Because of this, I'm worried about why she did it in the first place. In order to provide some perspective, this was a guy she had been dating for a few years prior to my meeting her, and they met while in college and were in a serious relationship for a period of time after that. When I first met her, they had just separated and decided that they would be better off as friends. Before they began dating, they had been friends for many years. We started dating, but he continued to be a part of our lives. He was her best friend first and foremost, and I reluctantly agreed to it for her sake, even though I didn't want to. Several months later, I put my foot down and said that it was too uncomfortable for me to continue. There was some resistance, but she took a step back and walked away from the situation. Every time we separated, she was there with him. In the end, we were able to reconcile and tie the knot. He doesn't seem to realize what he's done and quickly ends his conversation with her. She seemed to be in distress, which should have served as a red flag. It came up in conversation, and she expressed her delight at having chosen me. As a result of what has transpired, I'm tempted to inquire as to whether she has reunited with him at this point. Because I saw the laptop searches, I know she looked in on his social media accounts. She is completely unaware that I am aware of this. Despite the fact that I don't think she would cheat, this guy was always out of the norm for her. Do I simply go up to her and confront her? Is it okay for me to start searching through her phone? Is it just me, or do I have a paranoid streak? Update. Thank you everyone for your help and recommendations, which have been implemented. Prior to speaking with her, I conducted some preliminary investigation. I originally searched through his social media accounts, but there was nothing that indicated anything unusual was going on. Some others use the phrase his love in their comments, which may signify anything at all. I did look at the phone bill, and it seems that he is making regular phone calls. When she was asleep, I was able to get access to her phone. She must have forgotten that I was aware of the truth. There was nothing in the mails and no unusual phone calls. As a consequence, she decided to delete them. I did notice numerous programs she sought to keep hidden, such as Snapchat and Kik, which she had attempted to keep hidden. They're all gathered together, having a debate. In addition, photos are included. I documented everything with images taken on my phone as proof. She came out laughing as we were having a conversation and went away with our child to her mother's place. I hired an attorney and am now in the process of divorcing my husband and deciding custody of our children. More than anything else, I'm depressed and outraged. She has made me upset, but I'm also angry with myself for having ignored so many warning signs in the past. ETAs, the conversations that I overheard, confirm that they were having a relationship. They were exchanging photographs, some of which were of them nude, on the internet. Story 2. Wife of 7 years cheated. Now, she wants out of the marriage. We've been dating for 9 years. We have 4 little children and a new home. She is a stay-at-home mother, while I work full-time. I was aware of her infatuation for her best friend's spouse, but I foolishly assumed it was benign. In late November/early December, they began chatting secretly about having an emotional affair. In January, it got physical. She seemed distant in early January, and I confronted her about it. She said that she wasn't sure whether she still loved me or if she wanted to stay in the marriage. I accused her of having an affair, which she denied and seemed to be outraged by. She said that all she needed was some time apart from me and the kids to clear her mind. So I took up all tasks in the evenings while she went out to clean her thoughts, see him. I worked so hard to repair our marriage, but I was also skeptical. She was always on her phone. She wasn't paying attention to anything I was doing. Then she said that she had misspoken and was just bewildered. She said that she loved me and wanted to be with our family. I was overjoyed. I continued to put in additional effort around the home and with the children. I continued to give her room. I simply blew up one night. She never glanced at me. I was never appreciated for anything. She was usually on her phone. I told her I believed she still felt the same way and lied to her to make her feel less bad. She was deafeningly silent. The following night we went out, and she revealed that she still didn't love me and didn't know what she wanted to do. I was a shambles. She slept in another room as I sobbed and read articles about what was going on. I was still dubious, but every time I brought it up, she behaved as though I was pushing her away even more. The date was 1/30. I phoned in ill to work because I wasn't emotionally prepared to deal with the weekend turmoil. She was kind to me and made it seem as though we could rebuild. She informed me that she would be heading to the gym with her closest buddy. Her closest buddy arrived about 30 minutes later with a treat for her. My wife had canceled on her and informed her that she was ill. We both knew right away. It took all day to piece together the past 2 months, and they both denied everything until we obtained the phone records. They didn't get home till late that evening. She revealed everything to me. She apologized half-heartedly and said she didn't know what to do from here, but we could try to figure it out. I requested to see her phone the following morning, and she agreed. But she neglected to log off of WhatsApp. I saw they were texting I love yous as soon as they awoke. I blew it. I'd gone through so much up and down. She the phone from my grasp before I could read it all, and we fought over it. I flung her on the bed, but she wouldn't let go, and finally she pulled it from my grip. I backed off. I had reached rock bottom. I went to my pastor and spoke with him. My wife returned home a few hours later and said that he had really stopped it with her. This time, she apologized really, with tears and feelings. We both sobbed, and I told her I needed to get this out of my system. She said that she didn't know whether it could be repaired. She's done much too much harm. We had been together constantly for 2 days. I had the impression that we were reuniting. We couldn't sleep or eat, so we went to our physicians to acquire antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. Last Thursday, I returned to work. She asked if I wanted to kiss her. When I departed, she responded, "I love you too." I had optimism since she was still an emotional disaster. She committed to notify me if any contact was made. She wasn't the same when I came home. She was cheerful and effervescent. I knew she'd contacted me. She flatly rejected it. She sobbed uncontrollably, declaring, "I'll never trust her." I didn't sleep because I was aware that something was wrong. On Friday, I contacted his wife, who verified that he was behaving strangely as well. I investigated his phone records and discovered that he had a new phone number. They chatted all day Thursday and Friday. I blocked his phone, but I'm sorry I played my hand. She began to push me away. She believes they were seeking closure since the episode ended suddenly. She agreed to enable location sharing and allow me to check her phone whenever I asked, but she has been pleading with me to let her leave since Friday. She's been nothing short of horrible throughout this whole process. This is the first time I've brought up everything I've done wrong in our relationship. I'm well aware that I wasn't ideal, and that she wasn't either, from the start, but the last 4 years have been great for me. What you're thinking is, cut and run. I understand your sentiment. My second marriage, on the other hand, is a different story. My first wife had an affair and is now married to the man who had an affair with her. Divorce is tough when there are children involved. Approximately half of the time, I am in contact with my daughter from a prior marriage. A stepdaughter whom I raised, as well as 2 little children, are now part of my family. I wish I could see them on a daily basis. As for my wife, I continue to adore her, and I believe that this is an experience from which we can both benefit and grow. I feel her decision to leave is a reaction to having to accept responsibility for her mistakes. She has nowhere to go and no place to work at this point in her life. It will have a devastating impact on our children. Despite the fact that it's taken a long time to get here, have any of you been cheated on and then attempted to win back your spouse's love in order to keep them from leaving, despite the fact that it should be the opposite?